إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا وبعد. Respected elders, ulama, huffaz, elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we always do, our thanks and our gratitude needs to be expressed to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the bottom of our hearts, from with all our being. That thanks and gratitude that we express to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having made us Muslim and for having given us the opportunity to be and ability to do His ibadah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our presence in the Masjid. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. When we consider the discussion we had last week and then on Saturday night as well, we find that in this time of the month, or in this time of the year, during the month of Rabiul Awwal, there are lots of varying opinions about what to do and what not to do. And that we've spoken about, and that everybody is to himself, and everybody has his own understanding of what he ought or ought not to be doing. What I wanted to speak about today is largely motivated by the fact that sometimes if you go on social media and you find people expressing their various opinions in favor or against, or whatever it is, for whether it is for the mawlud of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whether it is for how you ought to do tahiyah, whether it is for what you believe in or what others believe in, I thought there was quite a lot of interaction. And sometimes if you are a little bit bored, you can go click on the comment section and you can watch the people fight. And that is almost like turning on the television and watching an MMA fight or a boxing match. Because there is so much ikhtilaf, there is so much difference. And the problem is not that there's difference, and the problem is not that there's ikhtilaf. The problem is that the adab of this ikhtilaf is not maintained. The adab of this difference is not maintained. And when someone becomes critical of another's viewpoint, whether it be valid or invalid, that critique needs to have an adab that accompanies it. And while today's talk is not just about the discussion regarding the adab al-ikhtilaf, the manners that ought to be exercised at the time of difference, what I would like to, in a general sense, and there's books written on adab al-ikhtilaf. There are discussions that are had at length regarding adab al-ikhtilaf, the manners in which difference ought to be displayed and exhibited. However, not every person in the masjid, or not every person that is a Muslim, has the time or is making the time to understand and to learn the adab al-ikhtilaf, the laws of how you ought to engage when it comes to the difference of opinions. And therefore, I considered that at least at one Jumu'ah, we need to understand how and what context can we be critical of another believer. To what extent can we go to, and what should we be cautious of? What limit should we not go beyond? What is it when we engage with someone? And sometimes, wallahi, sometimes, in fact, not sometimes, I should say most of the time, or many of the cases, you find that it is the ego that is driving the ikhtilaf. The ego is driving the ikhtilaf. Because I studied for 5 years and he only studied for 3 years, or where does he come with his degree? Who taught him? Who is his ustad? We forget to look at common sense. That goes out of the window. We forget what we learned in the Quran, out by the window. We forget the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, out by the window. Now it becomes a battle of the egos. It becomes the battle of the egos. It becomes the battle of the egos, and whose sheikh is better than whose sheikh. And whose imam is better than whose imam? And my imam studied for 20 years in Egypt, slept on the floor, ate only dal for his whole life. And your sheikh studied in Medina and Makkah and Indonesia, and he had chicken tikka his whole life. So now there is a huge difference on whose sheikh we must follow. Then you say to him, lakum dinukum waliya din. That is not even used for that purpose, but we say to him, lakum dinukum waliya din. For you, your religion, for me, my religion. But when we go back, we say, you know, that guy bounces his finger when he makes tahiyya. That guy's hands is above here, our hands is below here. I remember my mu'allim saying in madrasa, so and so and so. And the problem is that our egos get so involved. We've granted such a huge attachment to our ego. And by extension, we've granted such a huge attachment to our cronies, our friends, and our muftis and our shuyukh, that we fail to acknowledge and we fail to see, have connection with the Quran and the Sunnah. We fail to have connection with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your shaykh is great, but wallahi Allah is greater. Your mufti is great, but wallahi Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is greater. And no matter who says in the dunya, if it contradicts the Quran and it contradicts the Sunnah, then it is something that you abstain from. Now, maybe you studied a little bit longer. Maybe you have some background reading, or you had the ability to sit with an ustad that gave you, remember something, your ustad gave you his point of view. Your ustad gave you his point of view. But you need to be open and understand that there are other points of view as well. Had you made a different call and studied by a different ustad, you may have gotten a different viewpoint on exactly the same topic. But that's not what I want to speak about. What I want to say is, you may have had a little bit of information, or you read the Quran, or you did tafsir by a sheikh, or something like this happened. Now you have knowledge. And there is a brother, or a sister, or a friend, or auntie, or cousin, or any other Muslim for that matter, that comes to you with a matter about which you have a difference regarding. Now, you first need to hold yourself back. Because I don't want to tell him that he is wrong, so that my ego can be stroked. Because it's easy for me to tell him, you know, it's a joke, you are wrong. Only for the sake of, you rectify someone, you critique someone so that your ego can be stroked, that is the wrong intention. And the first hadith in the books of hadith is, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Doesn't matter how noble your action seems to you in your head, if your intention is wrong, go back, stop. Don't critique the person right now. Fix your intention first. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu was involved in a duel. I'm not going to go into the length, the details of the hadith. But if my memory serves me correct, it was at Khaybar. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked Sayyidina Ali to be involved in the first duel. Now, as you would know, what would happen in battles of the past, there would be a group of, the army would be there, and the opposition army would be there, soldiers would be there. And they would first send representatives to start this thing out first. You know what I'm saying? They will send a representative from this side, and they would send a representative from the opposition side, and these two soldiers would battle it out. They would have a duel, they will fight. Whether it is judo or karate, whatever the case, they would be involved in this thing. Right? They may have 2 or 3 or 4 pre-duels, deals before the battle. And once that was done, they said, okay, right, now we're going to engage in, it's almost like a starter. You know, when you go to the restaurant, you order a starter, you first eat something small, and then you get involved in the main course. So this is how battle used to happen in the past. So Sayyidina Ali was involved in one of these duels. And the person that Sayyidina Ali was involved in the duel was much bigger and was known for his strength. And he was supposed to take on Sayyidina Ali. And it was looking like an obvious victory, like a Liverpool Man City story. I'm just joking. It was looking like an obvious victory, right? And what happened was, I don't support any of this. So the thing is, what happened was, Sayyidina Ali went into the battlefield, and he was there. And Sayyidina Ali took down his opposition, and he was on the chest of the opposition, and the opposition looked up at him and spat in his face. And anybody that was raging, because he had the right to take that soldier's life now, before that even. But when the soldier spat in his face, he became so angry that he got off the soldier's chest and he initiated the duel. And and he defeated him the second time. And afterwards, and killed him. And afterwards, the people came to Sayyidina Ali and said, "Oh, Sayyidina Ali, cousin of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, son-in-law of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you had the opportunity to take him out the first time. We're not talking about pellet guns. We are not talking about paintball. We are talking about your life. You are already in an advantageous position. You can take the next person's life, but you initiate the entire deal. Why did you do this, oh Sayyidina Ali?" He says, "Because he spat in my face, and I became so angry and so enraged. Had I killed him in that moment, I would have killed him for my nafs. I wanted to redo it to make sure I'm killing him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." So now we ask ourselves, when we get into engagements with other Muslims, whether it be on Facebook, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on any social media, or even one-on-one in real life, or even on air, or in any way, are we willing to ensure that our ikhtilaf and our purpose of putting our critique and our point across is motivated purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because if it is motivated by your ego, step back, get away from it. It doesn't matter who says what about you. If you are going to engage in it for the sake of your ego, you are going to make a greater mess than what the thing was in the beginning. Don't get involved with your ego. So that's the first point I want to speak about when it comes to ikhtilaf and difference. The second point I want to make is that ikhtilaf are of different types. There are those matters, and just to mention two of them for you, there are those matters which are regarding the usul of our deen. And they are the ikhtilaf regarding the usul of our deen. They are the essence of our deen. For example, acknowledging that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the final messenger, believing that he is the final messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is regarding the usul of your deen. If you don't accept, it is such an integral part. And scholars say that there is a different matter, is a different relation that you engage and how manner in which you engage with someone who differs with you on the usul of your deen. In that instance, many of the scholars say if someone differs on the usul of the basic usul of the deen, then they are considered not Muslim. And it doesn't only limit to the finality of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it extends to other things as well, but our discussion is not on that particular topic. The next example I want to give of ikhtilaf, the difference in the ummah, is ikhtilaf regarding the furu'. Furu' is the branches of the deen. So these are things that don't make the trunk of the deen, but they are by extension of the deen. And these are things that, for example, and I give you an example, when there's a difference on how these furu' are executed, then we can perhaps have a difference of opinion. We can engage with that difference as long as we don't do it for the sake of our ego, like we said, and as long as we understand what we are doing and how we are doing it. So, when it comes to this furu', an example of that is, I will take you to a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The hadith of the Prophet, it comes in Sahih al-Bukhari, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sends, on the day of Ahzab, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sends a group of companions to the tribe of Banu Qurayza. Banu Qurayza. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sends them there. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says to this group of Sahaba, لا يصلين أحد العصر إلا في بني قريظة. That none of you should perform Asr, or none of you should perform Asr until you get to the people of the tribe of Banu Qurayza. And this statement of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so if you say it in Arabic, it sounds, I'm going to try and translate it, the English version of it. So I'm not going to give you the direct translation. It's like, you shouldn't perform Asr until you get to Banu Qurayza. So what that meant, some Sahaba understood that this meant that we should be quick on our journey. So quick that by the time we get to Banu Qurayza, it will be Asr time and we will perform Asr there. So when Asr time came, they had not yet reached Banu Qurayza. So some of the Sahaba stopped. And they said, look, Asr time has come in. And you do not read the ayah of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. That salah has to be done as soon in its time. When its time enters, you must make the salah. So this group of Sahaba that were of this opinion, they said, look, we haven't reached Banu Qurayza, we are going to stop and we're going to make our salah here. The other group said, look, the Prophet ﷺ says, we must only make Asr when we get to Banu Qurayza. This is the messenger of Allah. If anybody would have known any better, it would have been the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he would never ask us to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we obey obey him, we are essentially obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we feel that we should make asr when we get to Banu Qurayza. The Sahaba had a difference of opinion regarding the words of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One group had one opinion, another group had another opinion. But not like you and I. They had Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in their midst. So when they returned, they came to Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and said, Ya Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this is what had occurred. We had a difference. Who's right and who is wrong? Who is right? فَذُكِرَ ذَلِكَ عِنْدَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. They mentioned that to Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the hadith it goes, فَلَمْ يُعَنِّفْ وَاحِدٍ مِّنْهُمْ. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam didn't prefer one way over the other. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam didn't say one is right and one is wrong. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam remained silent, and the silence of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was understood to be approval that both of you were right and both of you had acted according to your understanding with noble intentions. And this is regarding the furu' of the deen. The Sahaba differed on the furu' of the deen at times. But it never allowed them to send nasty messages on Facebook. Okay, given they didn't have Facebook. But they did not send nasty messages over Facebook or over Instagram or any one of these things. They didn't come back and didn't share with one another when they came back to Medina. They didn't come back and hold this as a grudge. My daughter will never marry that man's son because we differed when we went on that journey. And sometimes we are like that. And we are like that because of the fact that we allowed our ego to get involved in the difference. And a Muslim is taught, we fast in the month of Ramadan to control that ego. We fast, we do nawafil to control that ego. We sacrifice qurbani time, we do the sacrificing of the animal to control our ego. Logic tells us you spend money on a sheep, you are using money. But Iman tells us you are gaining barakah, which is more valuable than money. You give zakah, money is leaving you, but you understand you are getting barakah. You do these things because you know that your iman dictates these kind of sacrifices that you make. And all of these sacrifices are made to teach your ego how to be in check. And if you cannot allow your ego to be, and if it's only, and that's why we reach a point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, about when it comes to the time of Qurban, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, لَا يَنَالَ اللَّهَ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. It is your taqwa that reaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because your taqwa, it is something that you have developed, and the taqwa increases as you suppress your ego. The more you can suppress your ego, inshallah, the greater your taqwa will be. And therefore we need to understand that we cannot get into ikhtilaf, especially if our egos are involved. Now, when the Prophet ﷺ was sent, the Prophet ﷺ came with a mission. We in the month of Rabi'ul Awwal, the month in which we celebrate the birth of Rasul ﷺ. But what was the mission of Rasul ﷺ? There is a hadith narrated in Imam Nawawi's 40 hadith. It is وعن ابن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أمرت أن أقاتل الناس حتى يشهدوا أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم says, I have been commanded to fight mankind, to fight people حتى يشهدوا أن لا إله إلا الله, until they acknowledge that there is none worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَنَّ مُحَمَّدٌ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ, and they need to accept that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. حتى يشهدوا أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله ويقيموا الصلاة, and they need to establish salah. So I must fight people until they believe in Allah and Rasul and they establish salah. وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةِ, and until they give zakah. فَإِذَا فَعَلُوا ذَلِكَ, and if they have achieved this, they believe in Allah, they perform their salah and they give their zakah. فَإِذَا فَعَلُوا ذَلِكَ عَصَمُوا مِنِّي دِمَاءَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ, their wealth and their lives are protected from me. In other words, the Prophet ﷺ will not go and fight with anybody who has established a belief in Allah and Rasul ﷺ, who performs his salah and who gives his zakah. If you do this, the Prophet ﷺ says, عَصَمُوا مِنِّي دِمَاءَهُمْ إِلَّا بِحَقِّ الْإِسْلَامِ, except when the rights of Islam are involved. So for example, someone may be believing in Allah, he may be believing in Rasul ﷺ, he may be giving salah, doing salah, and he may be giving his zakah, but he has murdered someone, for example. So that is the right. The Sharia comes in there, and the Sharia says a life for a life, or ثيب الزاني, or تارك لدينه مفارق للجماعة, or someone who has نفس بنفس, life for life, or تارك لدينه مفارق للجماعة, someone who has apostated from his religion and has separated himself from society. So these are instances where Islam allows, for example, the Prophet ﷺ to react even if someone believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam makes salah and gives zakah. Other than that, you are safe from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَحِسَابُهُمْ عَلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. The end of the hadith, وَحِسَابُهُمْ عَلى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And their reckoning, their hisab, is going to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are believing in Allah. They are believing in Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They give their zakah. They perform their salah. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, I don't touch them. I don't go. That is what I want. I don't fight beyond that. وَحِسَابُهُمْ عَلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And their reckoning will be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we don't behave like that. If you read these Facebook posts, you will come to understand that we think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَحِسَابُهُمْ عَلى Facebook. And the hisab will happen on Facebook. Because we criticize the person, insult the person. His mother's not even involved, we involve his mother. His father's not even involved, we involve his father. His sheikh, his entire belief system we involve in there. Right up till Adam alayhi salam, we involve everybody in the Facebook post because we have involved our ego in this ikhtilaf. So if the Prophet ﷺ set limits, and he was وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, he was a mercy to all the world. You and I don't even have an iota of the mercy that Rasul ﷺ exhibited. How can we then take this responsibility on ourselves to be so demeaning, so critical, so bi-adab, without any adab when it comes to differing with someone? May Allah protect us, inshaAllah. This was the role of Rasul ﷺ. Beyond it was not anything. There is no mufti greater than Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no sheikh greater than Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No imam, no human being, no creation of Allah is better than Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it doesn't matter who says what. If Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam set limits for himself, who are you and I to cross those limits? May Allah protect us, inshallah. How knowledgeable was Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How close to Allah was Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And do you know? We always read in the nikah, those of you who pay attention to the khutbah of the nikah, the imam always says, or most of the time, he reads the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, فَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. Oh, مَنْ لَمْ يَعْمَلْ بِسُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. He who does not adhere or conform to my sunnah, he is not from amongst us. But we hear that end part. There is an entire hadith that leads up to that. When three men came to the house of Sayyidina Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha, inquired about the actions of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then they were told about the ibadah and about the life of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam by his wife. And they took it upon themselves and said, well, if the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam does so and so, then the one committed, he said, I will perform salah throughout the night and I won't go and sleep. The other one said, I will fast every day and I won't break my fast. The other one made women forbidden for him. When Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam returned and heard about this, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commanded these people that, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to these people that, look, I perform salah and I take a break because my body has a right upon me. Even when it comes to engaging with women, I engage with women and I abstain when there is a limit involved. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, I fast some days and I break my fast some days because my body also has that right upon me. You have to give everything its right. So if we see that these people wanted to go to this extent to try and be better than Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a sense, then I ask you, you and I know that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most knowledgeable, yet he set his limits for himself. Why, again, I ask the question, are we not setting these limits for ourselves? Why are we allowing our egos to dictate the discussions and ikhtilaf that we have, especially in a public arena? Furthermore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in the Quran how we ought to engage with someone with whom we differ. With whom we differ. We need to be tolerant, like I said, with certain things. And we need to understand that showing someone I know more or showing someone I know better is not the goal for a Muslim in a discussion. I don't want someone by the end of the discussion to say, hey, you know what, you're right, you're a very clever chap, hey? You should be a mufti. I don't want that out of the discussion. And if a Muslim wants that, he has unfortunately changed the intention of why these critiques are allowed. If you want to improve the condition of the ummah, and you do it with kindness by all means. I take you to an example of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. A few weeks ago, we spoke about the kalam of Allah, the book of Allah, and the kalam of Allah, the words of Allah in the kalam of Allah to the kalim of Allah, to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Right? And in it we spoke about how Musa alayhi salam was asked to go to Fir'aun, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him a few miracles, like his hand under his armpit and, for example, the staff. But when Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was commanded to go to Fir'aun, one of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, this is the ayah from the Quran, فَقُولَا لَهُ, and the two of you should say to him. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to two people, is speaking about Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salatu wasalam, who was his elder brother and also a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَقُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا, when you go to Fir'aun, speak nicely to Fir'aun, speak gently to Fir'aun, speak kindly to Fir'aun. Layna is that soft, that luring kind of a way where you speak to someone so that you can gain their confidence. Right? Layna. لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ, so that perhaps it will serve as a reminder for him. Oh, yakhsha, or he may become God-fearing in some way. Now, I spoke about this in the week as well, but as a reminder, because this ayah came up with this particular topic again. فَقُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Do you know, brothers and respected elders, who was Fir'aun? Who was Fir'aun? Fir'aun was someone who said, أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. He said, I am your mighty Lord. I am your high Lord. He claimed divinity. And after having claimed divinity, he went on to still make the life of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam so miserable that some mufassirin write that even though Israel is normally the one to take the life, Malakul Maut is normally the one to take the life of a Nabi. Some Mufassirin write that at the time when Fir'aun was being drowned, there was a request by Jibreel that he would like to take the soul of Fir'aun. And the reason Jibreel said, I would like to take the ruh of Fir'aun is because I know every time I gave Musa alayhi salatu wasalam a message, Fir'aun made his life so miserable that I would want to take the pleasure of taking Fir'aun's life. This is what some Mufassirin have written. That is how much grief Fir'aun caused Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, فَقُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا, say to him kind words and gentle words, لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى, so that he can be reminded or he can become God-fearing. Allahu Akbar. How? Not only did he offend Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, but he tried to offend the divinity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't forgive shirk. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't forgive shirk, but yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, be kind to Fir'aun, speak kindly to him. And Al-Baghawi relates a narration. He says, وَقَرَأَ رَجُلٌ عِنْدَ يَحْيَى بِنْ مُعَاذ هَذِهِ الْآيَةِ, that a man recited this ayah in the presence of Mu'adh, right? Yahya bin Mu'adh. This ayah, فَقُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. فَبَكَى Yahya started crying. وَقَالَ, and he said, إِلَهِي هَذَا رَفِيقُكْ بِمَنْ يَقُولُ أَنَا إِلَهِ. He said, oh Allah. He cried and he said, oh Allah, this is your rifq. This is your compassion. This is your kindness to someone who claimed أَنَا إِلَهِ, that I am God. He says, فَكَيْفَ رَفِيقُكْ بِمَنْ يَقُولُ أَنْتَ إِلَهِ. Then if that is the kindness you show to someone who said he is God, what will your kindness be to the one who says you are God? You are God. Now when we look at people here amongst us, we may differ on 150 different things. But if that person says about Allah, Ya Allah, Anta Ilah, oh Allah, you are the Rabb, then how? And Allah is willing to show that person rift. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is even willing to show Fir'aun rift at that particular time. Who are you and I that have not we want to be so righteous, so ego-driven, so passionate about what we think is passionate, but is in fact ego, that we are willing to tell someone off and criticize their belief, criticize where they come from, their ancestors, their forefathers, their shuyukh, only because we differ. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't do this. So where do we get this? Where do we get this mannerism from? If Allah, who is the Rabb of the dunya, or the Rabb of you and I, the Rabb of everything, does not behave in this manner, where do you and I get this filthy mannerisms from? Where do we get this, where we have no adab when it comes to ikhtilaf, where we are willing to say anything about anybody at that particular time? The Prophet ﷺ says to the companions, أَلَا أُخْبِرُكُمْ بِمَنْ يحرم على النار أو بمن تحرم عليه النار. Should I not tell you someone upon whom the hellfire has been forbidden? The Prophet ﷺ says, على كل قريب هين سهل. The Prophet ﷺ, the fire of Jahannam is forbidden upon everyone who is easy, accessible, mild, gentle and kind. If you want the fire of Jahannam to be haram upon you, exercise kindness. Suppress that ego. Don't involve yourself in things that are not needed. من حسن الإسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه, says Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. From the beauty of a Muslim is that he leaves that which does not concern him. Leave what does not concern you. In another hadith, Sayyidina Aisha and our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I'm going to end with this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ commanded us to show that kind of kindness not only to our Muslims, not only to human beings, but even to the animals. Sayyidina Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala was once dealing with a camel that was out of control. It was misbehaving, and she narrates the hadith. She says, this camel was misbehaving. So I took something to beat the camel so that it could settle down. And the Prophet ﷺ told us, and the Prophet ﷺ said, Oh Aisha, alayki bil-rifq. It is necessary that you show some kind of kindness. فَإِنَّ الرِّفْقَ لَا يَكُونُ فِي شَيْءٍ إِلَّا زَانَهُ وَلَا يَنْزَعُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ إِلَّا شَأْنَهُ. The Prophet ﷺ says, Oh Aisha, it is incumbent upon you to show some kind of kindness and gentleness in what it is that you do. Because in everything we do, if we have kindness and gentleness, then kindness and gentleness will beautify that which we do. And if you lack kindness and gentleness in what you do, then it makes it ugly. It takes away from the beauty of that thing. So brothers and respected elders, it is a world that we live in, a world today where everybody's opinion, everybody has a platform to voice their opinion. Everybody can say what they want to say. The internet, the accessibility to the internet, accessibility to social media, whether it be the WhatsApp or any other platform for that matter, has certainly given power to people that have not yet learned to control their ego. Then if Mark Zuckerberg had to put there, one of the conditions you can have an account on Facebook is first, if your nafs is in check, if your ego is in check, then you'll find less selfies on Facebook, number one. And the second thing is, you will find this ikhtilaf, this people are fighting so much on these social platforms, you will not find any of them there. Because the ability to control your nafs, the ability to control your ego will inshallah help us resolve the ikhtilaf that we have in our ummah. There is no need for us to be angry with one another. There is no need for us to take out our anger on one another because of a difference of opinion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite our ummah inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow everybody their space and let us for us to grant everybody their space inshallah. With giving critique when it is not supported with our nafs, and giving when it's not supported with our ego, and to give advice inshallah, and to also take advice when advice is given to us in the most humble and most acceptable way inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the understanding. Those are all the announcements. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.